Hey there, Drowsy Historian here. Tonight, you are not being executed for heresy or bleeding out beneath a battlefield moon. No, your fate is far more honourable, far more painful. You are a sumo wrestler in Edo, Japan, or at least something that resembles one. You live in a wooden stable with a dozen other bodies, each trying to grow large enough to be noticed, but not so broken as to be discarded. Your breath smells of garlic and rice gruel. Your joints whisper in protest. Your name is not yours anymore. Your body is no longer yours either. You are told it is a temple. You are starting to suspect it is a sacrifice. Before we begin this long, heavy descent into ritual sweat, obedience, and pain disguised as prestige, do me one small favour. Tell me where you're listening from and what time it is there. If you'd prefer these stories without ads, you can join the Patreon. It's linked in the description. And if you're the sort who needs more than whispered misery to drift off, consider using a white noise machine. It won't cure your back pain or erase your regrets, but it will drown out the sound of your neighbour's plumbing and your own thoughts. I've linked my favourite one in the description below. Now, lie back, get comfortable, let's begin. You're not entirely sure whether you were chosen or given away. It depends on who's telling the story. According to the man with the painted fan and expensive sandals, you were noticed, a natural talent, born to greatness. He says this with the sort of smile that doesn't reach his eyes, and while your father bows so low his forehead touches the dirt, the man slides a small purse of coins across the threshold. No one looks at you. Not your mother, not your sister, not the man who says you'll be trained. You're taller than most boys your age, broader too, but you are not so large that you frighten people. Not yet. What you are mostly is hungry. And in a village like yours, hunger is a kind of curse. You're the middle child of too many mouths. Your appetite has always been a problem. Now it will be your profession. The journey to Edo is long but uneventful. You're not told much along the way. In fact, you're barely spoken to at all. The men escorting you don't seem cruel, just indifferent. The way one might treat livestock or luggage. You walk behind a handcart full of salted fish and cloth sacks. When it rains, you're expected to keep walking. When it's time to eat, you're handed 2 rice balls and a boiled egg. No one checks to see if you finish them. By the time you reach the outskirts of the city, your legs ache and your feet stink of damp straw, but you do not complain. Complaints, you suspect, are not welcomed where you're going. You've heard of Edo, of course. Stories of its size, its smells, its noise, its filth. You are not prepared for any of it. The air is thick with charcoal smoke, sweat, sewage, and soy. Wooden houses pressed together like ribs around a distended gut. Every alley seems to hum with 1,000 lives, washing, arguing, gambling, selling. You do not know which parts are rich and which are poor. You only know that none of it feels like it was built for you. The sumo stable is not what you imagined. You thought it might look like a temple, something spiritual, dignified. Instead, it looks like a barn, a large wooden rectangle with stained shutters and an uneven roof line, slumped between 2 cramped townhouses like an old man asleep on his knees. Inside there is a smell, part smoke, part boiled fat, part sweat, that settles immediately into your nostrils and will never entirely leave. Men sleep on mats laid directly on the floorboards. Some are enormous, others only broad-shouldered. All are silent. Your arrival causes barely a ripple. A few heads glance up, appraise your size, then return to their rice or bandages. A thin man with sloping shoulders and a face like carved driftwood mutters something to your escorts, clicks his tongue, and gestures for you to follow. You do. Your hair is shaved that afternoon. Not entirely. The top is left intact, the rest scraped away, with a dull blade that pulls at your scalp and stings your ears. You are told not to flinch. You do, once, and are cuffed lightly on the neck. No one apologizes. When the shaving is done, your top knot is shaped into a stubby little sprout. Not yet the sculpted fan of a senior wrestler, but the bare beginning of what might one day be mistaken for prestige. You are given a new name. It is not your name. You try to ask what it means. The thin man ignores you. Later, you hear someone say it refers to a tree, strong-rooted, slow-growing, shaped by force. You're not sure if it is meant kindly. You are handed a plain cotton robe and told to scrub yourself outside, using a wooden bucket and a handful of sharp-smelling soap. The water is cold, the soap stings. You do not complain. No one shows you around. There is nothing to be shown. A small shrine in the corner of the yard, a latrine behind a crooked door, a shallow stone ring half filled with sand. You try not to stare at the enormous man practicing foot stomps in the centre of it. His body moves like mud sliding off a roof, slow, heavy, inevitable. You wonder if you'll ever be that size. You wonder if you want to be. At sundown, a large pot is lowered onto the hearth in the main room. The smell of fish, garlic, and broth fills the stable. You are not invited to eat. You are handed a smaller bowl off to the side, mostly rice, a few scraps of cabbage, a curl of pickled radish. You eat quickly, not because it tastes good, but because you're not sure when the next bowl might come. After dinner, you're shown where to sleep. It is a worn tatami mat, tucked between a stack of folded linens and the drafty outer wall. You're given a thin blanket that smells of mildew and old smoke. The man who brought you here points once at the mat, once at the name tag nailed above it. Your new name, written in black brushstroke, then leaves without speaking. Around you, the others have already begun settling in. One snores like a dying ox, another wheezes quietly as he rolls onto his side. No one speaks, no one acknowledges you. There is no welcome, only placement. You lie down and feel every bone in your back press into the floor. You are not used to stillness. You're not used to eating this much rice. Your stomach groans. Your scalp still burns. Somewhere, someone is muttering in their sleep. You stare at the wooden beams above you, watching dust shift in the candlelight. You cannot see the stars. You cannot hear the sounds of your old village. You wonder what your mother is cooking tonight. You wonder if she cried after you left. You wonder if she was relieved. You close your eyes. You do not know what will be expected of you tomorrow. You wake to the sound of someone grunting, not in pain but in rhythm, a steady guttural exhalation, followed by the thump of flesh meeting dirt. For a moment, you don't remember where you are. Then the blanket shifts against your shoulders, scratchy and damp, and the cold breath of the stable's outer wall presses against your skin. You open your eyes to a ceiling of blackened rafters and dim light seeping through papered windows. Around you, the others are still sleeping, sprawled on their mats like overfed dogs. One twitches, another coughs, then rolls over, pulling his blanket up to his neck with a sound like sandpaper against straw. No one speaks. The only language here is movement. You sit up slowly. Your neck aches from sleeping crooked, and your back feels tight, like the skin has shrunk overnight. You don't know what time it is, only that the sky is still more black than blue. The rhythmic groans outside continue, echoing through the walls like the voice of some enormous creature dragging itself across the yard. You want to look, but you hesitate. You've already learned something here. Curiosity makes you visible, and visibility is dangerous. A figure appears in the corner of your vision, the same thin man from yesterday, the one who shaved your head and assigned you a name. He doesn't speak, just taps a wooden stick against the wall twice. The sound is dry and final. Those still sleeping begin to stir. Some rise quickly, with practiced efficiency. Others take a few seconds longer, limbs cracking, blankets folded tightly into the corner of their mat before they stand. No one complains. No one stretches or yawns. You scramble to follow their lead, standing barefoot on the cold floor as your robe hangs crooked on your shoulders. You are not given time to adjust it. You fall into line behind two other newcomers, one of whom has already tied his robe perfectly, his top knot oiled and shaped overnight into something marginally respectable. You feel the itch of your own stubble and try not to touch it. You're led into the yard, where the source of the groaning becomes clear. A man the size of a barrel is practicing shiko, stomping his legs high, then slamming them into the ground over and over again, with the deliberate, punishing grace of someone who has done this every morning for 10 years. His thighs are bigger than your chest. His skin glistens with sweat, even in the cold morning air. Each stomp sends a little tremor through the dirt ring. You are made to bow as you pass him, even though he never looks up. Inside, the stable comes to life. Coals are stirred, water is heated, robes are adjusted, the air grows thicker, smokier. The scent of miso and onions creeps in from somewhere, though you're not shown where it's coming from. The older wrestlers begin their routines and stretching, squatting, moving with a kind of sacred boredom that makes it clear they don't notice you and don't intend to. The youngest ones, only a year or two ahead of you in the ranking, though that might as well be a century, begin preparing trays, bowls, water buckets. A hierarchy of bodies is suddenly visible, as rigid as any castle wall. You are not yet part of that wall. You are a stone on the ground, waiting to be stepped on. The thin man gestures toward a corner where brooms and cloths have been piled. Without speaking, you and the other recruits begin to clean. You sweep, you wipe, you haul water to scrub the steps outside the shrine. You're not told which order to do these things in. You're simply watched. Occasionally, someone clicks their tongue or mutters something under their breath. A correction, a warning, a reminder that you're already failing by not knowing. At one point, you set a bucket down too close to someone's mat. The man it belongs to, large, snoring, doesn't stir, but someone else notices and quietly moves it for you. You bow in apology. No one returns the gesture. You spend the morning like this, moving, bowing, staying silent. Your knees begin to ache from how often you must lower them to the floor. At first, you try to rise slowly, with some dignity. By the 10th time, your movements are faster, smaller, more automatic. You do not want to attract attention. You do not want to be the slow one. You notice that the others don't just walk differently. They carry themselves as if always half-bowed, necks slightly inclined, eyes never quite level. You begin to mimic it, not because you are told to, but because your spine is learning the shape of submission. No one calls you by name, not your real one, not your new one either, though it's written on the wooden tag above your mat. Instead, you're referred to in fragments. New boy, scrubber, broom hands. You learn not to respond unless you're pointed at. You're pointed at often. At first, you think it might be because you're big, or strong, or promising, but it becomes clear that your size is just another resource to be used. A longer reach for wiping beams, a heavier weight for hauling barrels. No one explains anything. You're expected to know or to learn through silence. As the sun rises, the stable grows hotter. The heat does not come from outside, it comes from within. Bodies moving, soup boiling, coals burning. Your robe clings to your back in damp patches. You haven't been given breakfast, you're not sure if you're meant to be. One of the recruits whispers that food comes only after the seniors have eaten, and only if nothing is needed first. You nod without replying. You do not want to be seen talking. Hours pass, you lose track of them. The rhythm of your day becomes circular. Wipe, bow, carry, scrub, bow again. The soles of your feet are sore from walking on rough wood. Your hands are raw from wringing cloth. The robe you were given now smells like you. You see one of the older wrestlers watching you as you struggle to carry a tub of water. His face is unreadable. He doesn't help. When you spill some, he shakes his head and turns away. You bow to the puddle before you clean it. Eventually, the thin man returns, walking slowly through the main room, examining corners, checking shelves. He runs a finger along a beam and inspects the dust it gathers. He says nothing. But he stops in front of you and holds out a cloth. You take it without thinking, and he points to a raised platform at the rear of the stable. The sleeping place of a senior wrestler. Someone ranked high enough not to share the common floor. You are to clean it. You step carefully, cloth in hand, bowing once more before you climb onto the edge and begin wiping. It smells faintly of incense, sweat, and old cedar. You clean slowly, reverently, the way you might clean a shrine. When you finish, the man nods once and walks away. That, it seems, is praise. Time passes. You've spent days bowing, scrubbing, carrying, and keeping quiet. Your knees have adjusted to the constant bending. Your shoulders have grown numb to the strain of hauling water buckets. You've learned to anticipate orders before they're given, and to avoid eye contact without appearing evasive. You still haven't been invited into the ring. Not properly. You clean around it. You sweep the sand. You carry towels for those who do train. But you have not stepped into it. Until today. It's just past dawn when the stable master enters. His sandals make no sound, but the room still falls silent when he appears. He surveys the gathered bodies, then points a long, dry finger in your direction and gestures without speaking. You rise immediately, heart thudding in your throat. The thin man from before stands near the ring and nods once sharply. You are to enter. You're to be seen. You're told to strip, not completely. You're given a training mawashi, stiff and coarse, wrapped tight around your hips and threaded between your legs with neither grace nor care. It pinches in strange places. It exposes more than you're used to. You do not ask questions. You do not adjust it. When you step into the circle, your feet sink slightly into the packed dirt. It's cooler than you expected. The air is heavy with steam from the soup pot, sweat from the bodies and smoke from the morning fire. You join a loose ring of young wrestlers, all bare-chested and silent. Some look at you, others don't. None smile. The circle tightens. A whistle blows, and then you squat. You start with shiko. You squat low, lift one leg as high as you can, then slam it down into the dirt with force. Then the other. Left, right, again. It's meant to drive out bad spirits, or to build strength, or simply to hurt. You're not sure which version is true. Perhaps all of them. The first dozen repetitions aren't so bad. You try to mirror the others. Low squat, deep breath. Raise, slam. The sound of dozens of feet slamming into the ground at once echoes through the stable like thunder. It's almost beautiful. Almost. By the 30th repetition, your thighs begin to tremble. By the 50th, your lungs burn. You start to lose rhythm. You can feel eyes on you, not just from your peers, but from the older wrestlers nearby, seated along the wall, like judges. They're not watching with concern. They're watching with boredom. You are one of many who have done this, one of many who will. Between squats, you're made to perform suriashi, sliding steps across the ring, thighs low, back straight, never lifting your feet. It looks simple. It is not. Your legs scream. Sweat trickles from your scalp into your eyes, stinging your vision. Your breath hitches loud and ragged, but you try not to make noise. One of the seniors snaps his fingers and points at your hips. Too high. You lower them. Your knees protest. Then come the slaps, not formal strikes, just open-palmed smacks from seniors as they pass you in the ring. A blow to the shoulder here, a cuff to the ear there. None of them hard enough to injure, but all of them designed to sting, designed to humiliate. designed to see if you flinch. When you do, and you do, one of them laughs. A low, wet chuckle that spreads to the others. You bow slightly, ashamed, and resume your movement. The next time the hand comes, you don't flinch. You brace instead. The hand lands harder. It continues for what might be an hour or two. You lose all sense of time. Your only measure of progress is pain. Every muscle below your waist is shaking. Your mawashi is soaked through. The ring now smells of human salt, old sweat, and the faint, bitter tang of someone else's vomit. You try not to look for the source. You keep moving. Occasionally, someone is singled out for Butskari Geiko, practice pushing. You're not chosen today, but you watch as one of the other recruits is driven back, over and over, by a senior wrestler twice his size. He stumbles, he rises, he stumbles again. The stable master watches from the edge of the ring with an expression that could be approval or boredom or both. No one tells the boy when to stop. Eventually, he stops moving. Then they call for water. Not for him, for the next one. You know your turn will come. At some point the circle disbands, not formally. Just enough people collapse or peel off that it becomes clear the session is over. You try to stay standing, but your legs have betrayed you. You kneel, then drop fully to the dirt. Your arms don't want to catch you. Your body doesn't want to be a body anymore. Your chest heaves. Your robe is nowhere to be seen. Someone's toe kicks you, not cruelly, but casually, and you roll slightly to make room. Laughter bubbles somewhere nearby. You think he'll last the week, someone says in a drawl, too relaxed to be kind. If he gets through tomorrow, I'll be surprised, another replies, slurping from a ladle, as if this is all a pleasant afternoon game. You do not respond. You are not meant to. You keep your forehead against the dirt and breathe through your mouth. Your thighs twitch, your hips throb. There's a strange pinching in your lower back that might be the beginning of something serious or just the result of poor posture. You can't tell. You try to move your toes. They respond eventually. You consider this a victory. The ring is being raked now. A senior with a wooden comb smoothing out the uneven surface where your body just fell. The footprints you left are already erased. You lie still for a moment longer, listening to the scrape of wood against dirt. Someone steps over you without looking. Eventually, you rise, slowly, one knee, then the other. Your breath is still uneven. Your vision swims. You do not look anyone in the eye. You find your robe, still damp, folded near the door. You slip it back on and tighten the sash. You bow to the ring before stepping out. The sand clings to your skin. It will cling to everything now. Later, you will be expected to help serve breakfast. But for now, you're allowed to sit in the corner. Not rest exactly, but sit. And sip warm water while the others laugh about something you don't understand. No one speaks to you directly. No one asks how you feel. You wouldn't know what to say if they did. You've made it through your first training session. Barely. There's no certificate, no nod of approval, not even a grunt of acknowledgement. But when breakfast is served, you're allowed to sit among the lower-ranked wrestlers rather than off to the side. This is your reward, proximity to the pot. You take it as a sign you're expected to survive. For now. You're told to eat more. Again. Always more. The command doesn't come kindly. It's not spoken as encouragement, but as obligation. You're too light, too lean, too hesitant with your portions. You need to grow. Not just in strength or technique. Those will come later, if they come at all. What matters now is mass, size. Your body must become harder to move, heavier to throw. You're not expected to become faster, sharper, cleverer. You're expected to become a wall, and the only path to becoming a wall is to eat until your ribs disappear and your shadow expands. The first time you're handed a full bowl of chanko nabe, you stare at it too long. A steaming stew cloudy and thick, bobbing with cabbage, leeks, daikon, and scraps of fish or chicken. Whatever the stable could afford that morning. It smells of miso, garlic, and old bones. Not bad, not good, just dense. Next to it, a towering bowl of rice, and beside that, another bowl of rice. The older wrestler serving the portions slaps your shoulder once, firmly, then moves on to the next bowl. You hesitate. That is your first mistake. Eat, someone snaps behind you. You do. The first few bites go down easily. Your stomach is still empty from the morning's exertion. The warmth is welcome. The broth coats your tongue with salt and oil. But you're not eating for pleasure, or even for sustenance. You're eating for transformation. You are expected to consume beyond your hunger, to shovel down food until the body rebels, then ignore that rebellion. Halfway through your first bowl, the rice becomes a wall in your mouth, soft, clinging, endless. You chew without tasting. The broth turns lukewarm. The vegetables lose their texture. You glance up and see others on their second bowls already. A few are on their third. No one speaks. No one pauses to savour. Their jaws move like machinery. Their eyes are half-lidded, as if in meditation or exhaustion. You lower your gaze and keep eating. Your stomach bloats quickly. It feels tight, distended, uncooperative. You try to shift your legs under the table without drawing attention, but the pressure only worsens. You consider stopping just for a moment, but the man beside you silently refills your rice without looking up. You do not argue, you swallow, you force down another bite. By the time you scrape the bottom of your second bowl, your back is sweating. Your throat aches from the effort of keeping the stew down. Your lips feel greasy. You loosen your belt slightly beneath the table, careful not to let anyone see. You glance at the pot again, praying it's empty. It isn't. The broth has settled into layers, floating fat at the top, limp vegetables near the middle, rice and bits of chicken sunk to the bottom like wreckage. You dip your ladle and scoop from the middle. You're told that's where the best flavour is. You no longer care. Your third bowl is slower, much slower. The others are beginning to leave now, wiping their mouths with their sleeves, belching softly as they stand. No one lingers, no one encourages you, but you can feel the weight of expectation in their silence. You are given 3 bowls. You will finish 3 bowls. One of the senior wrestlers walks past and pauses just long enough to glance at your stomach. He raises one eyebrow, says nothing, and keeps walking. Your body protests every bite. The food no longer tastes like anything. The miso has dulled to sludge. The rice sticks to the roof of your mouth. The cabbage collapses between your teeth like wet paper. You drink some of the broth, thinking it might go down easier, but the oil coats your tongue and makes you gag. You cover it with a cough. Your chest feels tight. You are not sure where your lungs have gone. You try to breathe deeper, but there is no space. You are not told to stop. You are not told that enough is enough. You are told to finish, and you do. Barely. You set the empty bowl down with both hands. Your fingers tremble slightly. You bow your head toward the pot. You rise carefully, slowly, cradling your belly as though it might rupture. You do not speak. You do not look around. You are not proud. You are not satisfied. You are full. The stable is quiet now. Morning routines have begun again. The ring is being swept. Towels are being folded. Water is being boiled for washing. You are not expected to help yet. You are expected to lie down. Not to rest, not to digest, but to grow. You return to your sleeping mat and ease yourself down onto it, like an old man settling into a bath. You lie on your left side, knees slightly bent, arms folded across your belly. The position is deliberate. You've been told it helps digestion. Or more accurately, it helps your stomach retain what it's been given. The goal is not comfort. The goal is retention. Your breath is shallow. Your skin feels clammy. Your mouth is dry despite the gallons of broth. You close your eyes and try not to focus on the tightness under your ribs. You hear someone nearby belch deeply, followed by a satisfied sigh. Another wrestle snores through his nose in thick, wheezing bursts. Somewhere, the sound of chopping vegetables resumes. Lunch preparations have already begun. The cycle never stops. You wonder how much weight you're expected to gain. No one has told you, but you've seen the bodies of those ranked above you. Bodies like hills, bodies that struggle to fit through doorways, bodies that can barely squat but are praised for their size. You suspect that what's inside the mawashi matters less than its total volume. You are to become large, not strong, not swift, not balanced, just large. And the path to that largeness is through submission, not just of the will, but of the appetite. Hunger is no longer a sensation, it is a duty. Satiety is not a destination, it is a starting point. You are to eat until eating becomes a skill, and then a performance, and then a compulsion. You are to expand without questioning. You close your eyes and feel the stew settle. You do not sleep. You do not move. You let your body swell quietly into its new purpose. Weeks pass and the food doesn't stop. Neither does the pain. They seem to work in tandem, one building you up, the other breaking you down. You eat until your stomach feels like a swollen drum. Then you train until your legs forget how to move. You lie down to digest. You wake up sore. And the cycle begins again. You are never fully hungry, never fully rested, never fully anything. You exist in a kind of bloated limbo, too full to move, too sore to eat, too exhausted to think, but always ready to be summoned. Today, you're told to enter the dohyo, not just to clean it or bow towards it or scrub its edges while keeping your eyes down, not just to sweep the sand smooth with a long wooden rake. Today, you are to use it, or rather, you are to be used within it. You are told to practice falls, dozens of them. The command comes from the thin man, as always. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. You and the other lower-ranked wrestlers are herded into the ring after the seniors have finished their morning routines. The sand is freshly raked, but already dry and unforgiving. Someone has drawn a line around the edge, the boundary of ritual. It is both a space and a symbol. You do not cross it casually. You step over it with your head bowed, your feet bare, your belt tied tightly around your thickening waist. The first fall is voluntary. You crouch, then tip sideways as instructed, landing on your hip, then shoulder, then arm, rolling in a way that's meant to look controlled. It doesn't hurt much, not at first. The sand cushions just enough, but it clings to your skin, to your scalp, to the inside of your nostrils. The second fall is faster. The third lands wrong, and you feel a jolt in your wrist. No one pauses. The thin man nods once, and you continue. Fall again, and again, and again. Soon your left side stings from repeated impact. You're told to switch. Now it's the right. The movement is slightly different. The pain is not. You learn to land with your mouth closed so you don't inhale grit. You learn to keep your arms tucked so they don't slam into the boundary line and twist. You learn to keep your eyes open, just long enough to spot the floor before it greets you. The ring is not large, but it feels infinite when you're being thrown across it. The edges blur, the center shifts, your orientation disappears. The world becomes sand, then sky, then sand again. You are not falling anymore. You are being taught to collapse, quietly, correctly. You do not train alone. The other recruits are beside you, sometimes practicing the same falls, sometimes being used as practice dummies for the seniors. You watch one of them get lifted by the mawashi and spun like a log before being dropped flat onto his back. He doesn't move at first, then he groans and crawls to the edge of the ring, his mouth full of sand, His dignity evaporated. No one mocks him. No one helps him either. It becomes clear that there is a kind of choreography to suffering here, a ritual script, and you're learning your first lines. Eventually, you're paired off with someone only slightly larger than you. He's been here longer, but not long enough to be merciful. He grabs your mawashi with practiced ease, pulls your weight forward, and slams you into the dirt. The first time, you land flat. It knocks the wind out of you. The second time, you try to resist. He adjusts his grip and drops you again. Your knee grazes the edge of the ring. The sand there is coarser. Your skin splits. A thin line of red dots your leg. You're told to get up. You get up. You're instructed to lower your hips, not to resist, not yet, just to fall better, cleaner. You adjust your stance. You feel ridiculous, but you obey. He throws you again. You don't remember your arm hitting the ground, but it did. The impact radiates through your shoulder. You lie still for a second too long, and the thin man raps his stick against the ring's edge. A warning. You rise again. The sand is in your ears now, in your mouth. Your sweat has turned to mud across your chest. Your robe, once a pale off-white, is streaked with browns and greys. You no longer notice the taste. You no longer notice much at all. You are learning, though. Your body starts to recognize the patterns. The way your opponent shifts his weight before throwing. The way your own feet need to angle to soften the landing. You are not good at it, but you are not failing. And here, that is enough. After a while, the practice becomes less about learning to fall and more about demonstrating that you can, again and again, without hesitation, without complaint. You watch the others. Some fall with a kind of grim elegance, others grunt, wheeze, flail, but all of them rise. No one is allowed to stay down. The ring is not a place for rest, it is a place for endurance, for ritualized submission. You begin to understand why they rake the sand each day. It's not for beauty, it's to erase the indentations of the bodies that hit it. No mark is meant to last. Then it's your turn again. Your partner has been replaced. The new one is older, larger. His grip is tighter. His balance unshakable. He does not speak to you. He only nods once. You nod back. You crouch. He advances. You try to plant your feet, but he's already inside your defences, arms locked around your waist. You feel the lift before you feel the throw. The world spins and then stops. You land flat on your back, ribs smacking the dirt, air knocked from your lungs so violently that the sound escapes you in a small pitiful wheeze. Your vision tunnels. You taste blood. Not from your mouth, but from somewhere deeper. You can't breathe. You panic silently. Your body convulses once, then twice. Then your lungs remember what they're supposed to do. You gasp. Someone chuckles nearby. Good for you, a voice mutters. You roll onto your side, coughing, spitting grit. Your back screams. Your shoulder pulses. Your legs twitch. You do not cry out. You do not look for help. You push yourself to your knees and bow to your partner. He does not bow back. You bow to the ring. Then you crawl out. There is no moment set aside for recovery. Pain is not exceptional here. It's expected, like hunger, like sweat, like obedience. It is not acknowledged, and so you learn not to acknowledge it either. By the time the sun has lowered and the stable's main room begins to quiet, you can barely stand without flinching. Your shoulders throb. Your hip feels like it's been cracked by a cartwheel. You've washed dishes, folded robes, swept the yard, and bowed too many times to count. Your knees ache in a way that feels structural, as if something foundational has shifted out of place. When one of the older wrestlers nods toward the bathhouse, you nearly miss the gesture. You don't speak. You bow once, then follow the others in silence. You limp behind the group, careful to stay in the back. The walk is short, just around the side of the stable, past the latrines, and behind a low bamboo fence where laundry sometimes hangs. but it feels much longer with your bruised legs. You grit your teeth each time your foot lands unevenly on the gravel path. The air smells of old ash and steam. A wooden door creaks open ahead of you. One by one, the others duck inside. The bathhouse is small, dark and hot. Not just warm, but thick with heat, the kind that clings to your skin and coats your lungs. The room is simple. Wooden walls stained dark with moisture, a small stove glowing red in the corner, and a large sunken tub carved from rough stone. It's already half full. Steam billows upward in lazy coils. The light comes from a single oil lamp suspended from a nail in the beam, casting soft flickers against the damp planks. There is no conversation. Before anything else, you scrub. That is the rule. You clean your body before you enter the tub, not for yourself, but for the others. You crouch beside a shallow basin and begin to ladle hot water over your arms, your chest, your legs. It scalds instantly. You clench your jaw but do not yelp. You wash with a coarse cloth and a pinch of soap that smells faintly of citrus and something medicinal. The cloth rasps against the raw patches on your back. You say nothing. Your skin turns red beneath your fingers. Around you, the others wash in the same mechanical rhythm. Shoulders are hunched, heads are bowed. There's a ritualistic choreography to it, as if they are not cleaning but performing a quiet obligation to the space, to each other, to tradition. One man moves slowly, wincing each time his arm lifts. Another scrubs his belly with closed eyes, muttering something beneath his breath. No one asks, no one interferes. Pain is private here, even when it's plainly visible. You notice the bruises in the lamplight. On others, on yourself. Large yellow blooms across shoulders, red scrapes at the base of spines, purple blotches blooming along thighs. No one points, no one stares, but the damage is there, layered across bodies like a second skin, impossible to ignore once seen. When it's your turn, you wait for the subtle nod that grants you permission to enter. The seniors go first, always. You learn to anticipate who comes next, who waits, who pretends not to notice the unspoken pecking order. Your place is clear. You are near the bottom, not quite the lowest, but certainly nowhere near the top. You wait. Eventually, you're allowed to step in. The water is near boiling. You try to ease in slowly, but there's no dignified way to do it with your injuries. Your shin bumps the edge of the tub. Your knees don't bend the way they should. You slip a little on the stone step, catch yourself with one hand, and plunge in up to your chest. The heat is immediate and unforgiving. Your breath seizes, your ribs lock. Then slowly, the shock fades, replaced not by comfort, but by surrender. You sit in the water, knees drawn in slightly, shoulders curled, keeping as much of yourself submerged as possible. The heat gnaws at your skin. Your limbs feel as though they've been peeled. But there is relief in it too, or something close to it. Not the kind of relief that soothes, but the kind that confirms sensation. You're still here. You still exist. Around you, the others do the same. No one stretches out. No one leans back. You all crouch, as if trying to occupy less space than your bodies actually require. You are not here to sprawl. You are here to sweat, to soften the stiffness in your joints, to coax the bruises into silence, and to bear it together in orderly discomfort. No one speaks. The only sounds are the hiss of the stove, the occasional drip of condensation from the beams above, and the quiet shifting of flesh in hot water. It is not relaxing. It is not indulgent. It is penance. Even the steam has a kind of weight to it, pressing into your face, your eyes, your lungs. You breathe shallowly through your nose, tasting wood smoke and sweat in every inhale. Your knees begin to loosen. Your shoulders settle. The ache in your lower back dulls to a manageable throb, but the cost is visible. Your skin blooms red across your arms and chest as if the water is slowly cooking you. You wonder if that's the point, to boil the soreness out, or to cook away the softness that still clings to you, the part of you that doesn't yet belong here. You glance sideways at the man next to you. He's older, larger. His body seems carved from clay, thick, cracked, steam-slicked. A deep scar runs along his collarbone. His eyes are closed, but not in sleep, in retreat. You study his posture, then mimic it. Back straight, chin lowered, mouth closed. The heat builds, minutes pass. No one says when it's time to get out. They simply begin rising, one by one, in the order they entered. You wait until your turn, resisting the urge to move early. Your muscles protest as you stand. The sudden exposure to cooler air makes your skin contract. You step out carefully, dripping onto the planks. Your foot slips slightly, and you catch yourself against the wall. No one reacts. You towel off slowly, watching the steam continue to rise from your arms, your chest, your thighs. The bruises look worse now, more vivid under the oil lamp. You dress in silence. The robe clings to your damp back. You bow once toward the stove, once toward the empty tub, and step out into the night air. It is cold, it is quiet. The sky is dark above the stable, and the lanterns have been dimmed. Someone snores from the main hall. Somewhere, a dog barks in the street. You make your way back toward your mat, joints still pulsing with heat. You lie down, freshly cooked, limbs twitching, breath steady. You say nothing. You think nothing. You let the heat fade slowly from your skin into the straw beneath you. You're told to stop tying your hair back with string. No explanation. Just a short instruction. Leave it alone. Let it grow. You nod. You don't ask why, but you already know the answer. It's time to begin shaping the Shon Mage, the Sumo top knot. Not a fashion statement, not a personal style, a signal, a rank, a symbol of your role in something older and heavier than yourself. At first, your hair grows unevenly, patches stick out, the scalp itches, and the weight of sweat makes it cling to your neck. You are not permitted to cut it, not even to trim the ends. Instead, you're given oil, thick, fragrant, slightly rancid, and a stiff brush. You're to coat your hair with it daily, comb it back, keep it neat, even when it doesn't yet resemble the shape it's meant to take. You catch your reflection sometimes in the iron kettle or the water barrel and see a stranger staring back. A boy trying to look like a statue, a skull wearing hair like a crown it hasn't earned. One day, a Tokoyama, the hairdresser, visits the stable. He's older than most, sharp-eyed and silent. He arrives with a wooden box filled with combs, pins and jars. You're told to sit on a cushion in the corner and keep your back straight. He kneels behind you, mutters something about thickness, and begins working without preamble. His hands are fast and precise. He parts your hair down the centre, oils it, twists it, folds it, ties it, and flattens it into something resembling the beginnings of a fan. It pulls, it burns, it smells like rotting flowers. But when he's done, you feel it, not pride, but weight, the physical drag of the oil and tie on your scalp, the way it changes how you move your neck, the way it says, without words, you belong to this now. They start making you sleep on a wooden pillow. It isn't a pillow at all, just a block curved slightly at the top, designed to keep your newly formed knot from flattening overnight. The first night you use it, you barely sleep. Your head rolls off it every time you doze. Your neck cramps. You wake with a headache and a shallow line pressed into the side of your face. But you adjust. You must. If the knot flattens, it must be redone. If it's redone too often, your hair might break. If your hair breaks, it is your fault. Always your fault. And then there's the mawashi. You've worn one already, the plain cotton training belt handed to all newcomers. But now, You're given your first real one. It is stiff, long, and intentionally uncomfortable. A single strip of heavy cloth, about 30 feet long, dyed in a dull black or faded indigo. No frills, no decoration, just weight and function. The cloth is coarse, the edges fray. You are taught how to wrap it, not with privacy or assistance. You are made to do it in front of others, under supervision. Your robe discarded, your modesty ignored. You fold one end, wrap it low across your hips, pull it tight between your legs, and repeat. Over and over. Each pass compresses your stomach, your groin, your thighs. You feel your body reshape with every pull. Not flatter, not neater, just more contained. More offered. The final tuck goes down the back, between the buttocks, wedged and pressed. There is no undergarment, there is no hiding. You try not to wince. The mawashi exposes and transforms. It makes your body into something on display, not for attraction, but for inspection. You are not supposed to be graceful. You are supposed to be solid, rooted, visible. Your stomach is no longer something to hide. It is part of the spectacle, a tool, a shield, a proof of effort. Your thighs, bruised and swollen, are proof of repetition. Your shoulders, red from impact, are proof of commitment. Every inch of you is under scrutiny now. Every failure is visible. When you first wear it in the ring, you feel naked, not vulnerable exactly. That would imply someone is looking to harm you. What you feel is worse. You feel observed. Every movement is now amplified, every mistake exaggerated. You try to step with confidence, but the cloth binds your thighs just enough to throw off your balance. You try to stand tall, but the knot in your hair shifts your center of gravity. You try to breathe, but the belt presses into your gut like a hand clenching a sack of rice. There is no armor in this uniform. There is only exposure. You're no longer the boy in the back of the room, scrubbing floors and hoping not to be noticed. You are a wrestler now, a sumo wrestler, not yet respected, not yet feared, but presented, wrapped, labelled. Your name is written on the charts beside the ring. Not your real name, the new one, the one given to you when you entered, the one no one explains, the one you've begun to answer to without thinking. When the seniors gather for practice, you are among them now, still at the bottom, still the lowest rank, but inside the circle, allowed to fall, allowed to be thrown. You wait your turn, silent, watching. The stablemaster nods once. You bow, you step forward. One day you realize the belt feels tighter. Either the cloth has shrunk, or your body has swelled again. You suspect it's both. You've eaten more this week than any week of your life. You've squatted, fallen, been thrown, scrubbed, bowed and bowed again. And now, with your hair oiled into its proper shape, and your mawashi knotted to compress and contain, you are told that you are ready for something different. Not a match, not yet. A ceremony. You are told to observe, then mimic. No further instructions are given. No one explains the meaning. No one speaks of origins or gods. No one calls it sacred, but it is treated as such. You are ushered out to the ring before dawn, when the sky is still blue-black and the ground is wet with morning air. The sand has already been raked smooth. A small shrine has been uncovered near the edge. A dish of salt sits beside it. A bucket of water, a towel, a cup of sake. You're told none of these are for you. The seniors line up first, facing inward toward the dohyo. Their bodies gleam in the lantern light, wide backs, thick necks, calves that could crush a watermelon. You are made to stand behind them. The lowest rank, eyes forward, hands still. The air smells of ash, damp straw, and sweat trapped in cloth. The silence is total. Then movement. One by one, the seniors step onto the ring and begin a sequence you've never seen performed up close, only from the edges. While scrubbing the walls, or preparing soup. Now you're close enough to hear every shift of flesh, every slap of skin, every scrape of heel against sand. They stomp. They raise each leg high, then drive it down with deliberate force, shiko. Not as exercise now, but as ritual. The impact is deep, final, rhythmic, as if they're calling something from the ground or driving something back into it. They clap, loud single strikes of palm against palm. Not applause, a summons, a disruption. A way of saying, I am here, I am whole, I am empty. You're not sure which. They spread their arms wide, exposing the belly, the chest, the void between. Palms up. Nothing to hide. No weapons, no resistance. It is a gesture of surrender, or perhaps challenge. Again, no one explains. They bow, slowly, deeply, heads lowered toward the center of the ring, as if addressing something neither seen nor named. Then they rise and step back. You watch every movement with the shallow breath of someone trying not to be noticed. The performance is not graceful, but it is exacting. Each wrestler moves like a tree deliberately falling. There's no softness, just mass and intention. When it is your turn, the thin man calls your name, your new name, and gestures sharply. You step forward. Your feet are already dirty from standing in the sand. You feel the tension in your gut where the mawashi presses too tight. You climb onto the ring. It feels smaller from inside, more exposed. You try to remember the order. Stomp. You raise your leg too quickly. It wobbles. You catch yourself before falling, then slam it down. The sound is soft, not nearly enough. You try again with the other leg. Better, but still lacking the weight of conviction. Clap. Your palms strike too hard. The echo is sharp, desperate. Someone coughs behind you. You keep going. You open your arms. You think you're imitating the posture correctly, but your shoulders resist the stretch. You feel absurd, like an actor in a play you haven't read. Your chest is bare. Your belly glistens. You hear your own heartbeat. You lower your arms and bow, slow, trying not to fall forward with the motion. The sand shifts slightly beneath your toes. You stand and step back. No one comments, no one corrects you, which means you did badly, but not badly enough to address. You return to your place and keep your eyes forward. The ceremony continues. More wrestlers step up, stomp, clap, gesture, each one with their own rhythm, their own weight, their own version of the same sequence. There is no music, no chanting, only breath, body, and repetition. You begin to see patterns in the chaos, a common stance, a shared beat, a tempo passed silently from one man to the next. Salt is thrown. At first you think it's to clean the ring, but then you realize it's symbolic, a purification gesture, warding off evil, cleansing the space. The salt arcs through the air in bright sprays, scattering across the sand like snow that burns. It is done without expression, without show, yet it feels theatrical in the deepest sense. Not for the crowd, but for something unseen, something that demands obedience. You're handed a small pinch of salt. You hesitate, then toss it, mimicking the motion you've just witnessed. It barely spreads. Your fingers are sweaty. The salt clumps. Still, no one says anything. You are told to do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. This is not a one-time ritual. It is part of training now. Not for your muscles, but for your presence. You are learning not just how to fight, but how to appear, how to signal meaning with posture, how to embody tradition with your limbs. You begin to understand that sumo is not a sport, it is a performance. And in that performance, your body is both instrument and offering. You are not meant to win, not yet. You are meant to become part of the ceremony. You are a gesture, a living movement in a slow, endless dance designed to remind everyone, including yourself, that you are not the centre of the story. You are one more echo in a 1,000-year chant. The gestures are slow, exaggerated. They feel unnatural at first, but over time they become automatic. You no longer think before you stomp. You no longer notice when you clap. Your arms open without instruction. Your knees bend before your mind catches up. You don't understand the meanings, not really. You're not sure anyone does, but you perform them anyway, because obedience doesn't require understanding, only repetition. You stomp, you clap, you bow, you return to your place and wait for the next command. The ceremony ends as it always does, without climax, just a bow, a shuffle back to the edge of the ring, salt brushed away, sand raked, robes adjusted. You step off the dohyo, legs sore from stomping, scalp tight with congealed oil, skin still tingling from the sting of your own too loud clap. You expect to be sent to sweep, or maybe to help stir the soup, or carry water for the seniors' towels. Instead, your name is called again. It's not the voice of the stable master this time, but one of his assistants, a former wrestler whose bulk has sagged with age, but whose voice still cracks like a whip. He doesn't repeat himself. He doesn't need to. You're already moving. It's not a real match, they tell you. Just keiko. Practice. You are not comforted. You've seen the others during practice matches, the way they slam into each other with the force of animals, the way bodies twist midair, the way falls happen too fast to prepare for. You've seen the bruises, the split lips, the sprained fingers. You've heard the quiet grunts that men try to hide as they limp away. If this isn't a real match, you wonder what the real ones must feel like. You enter the ring barefoot. The sand is warm from the morning sun. Around you, a few of the seniors crouch beside the edge, watching with the hollow interest of men waiting to be entertained. One is chewing slowly on a radish. Another leans on his elbow, eyes half-lidded. None are concerned. Your opponent steps up. He's not large enough to be famous, but he's well ahead of you in rank. His top knot is shaped properly. His body is thick, not just fat, but hard fat, the kind you learn to fear. His eyes are unreadable. He doesn't speak. He bows once perfunctorily, then crouches into position. You do the same. You know the form. You've practiced it dozens of times. Hands to the sand. Eyes on your opponent. Weight forward. Wait for the call. It comes, a short, sharp clap. And he's already moving. You don't react in time. His body slams into yours like a cart rolling downhill, and the wind leaves your chest in a flat grunt. Your feet slide, your arms flail for purchase. You grab his belt, but your fingers are too high, too loose, too late. He twists, and your body twists with him. For a moment, you're sideways in the air, then upside down, then slammed back first into the ring, with a crunch that echoes. You hear it before you feel it. Then the pain catches up. It's not sharp, not yet. Just a sudden, total compression of everything. Ribs, shoulders, spine. The breath knocked out so completely that your body forgets what breathing even is. You lie there, stunned, mouth open, chest fluttering uselessly. He steps back. You roll onto your side. Sand sticks to your lips, your neck, your chest. You cough once, then again, a rasping noise that pulls something loose in your throat. Someone barks, "Up!" You rise, you crouch again. Round 2. This time, you try to anticipate the charge. You lunge early, too early, and he sidesteps with ease, catching your belt from the side and yanking you off balance. Your right foot catches nothing but air. You crash down on your shoulder, sliding into the edge of the ring. A puff of sand rises. Someone chuckles. You hear a voice call out that you've got spirit. It's not a compliment. You bow again. Get up again. Take your place again. Round 3. This time, you don't try anything clever. You stay low. You meet him head on. Your bodies collide with the thick slap of stomach against stomach, arms locking around each other's belts. For one brief moment, you hold. You even push. He grunts. You feel his weight shift. Then your left foot slips. He doesn't hesitate. He lifts you by the waist and turn. A slow, almost elegant motion, and lets your body ride the arc of gravity to the edge of the ring. You land hard, this time on your hip. You cry out just once, a short sound, involuntary. No one reacts. You're told that's enough. You bow again, twice, once to your opponent, once to the ring, then stumble backward out of the dokyo. The sun has risen higher now. The heat clings to your skin. Sweat mixes with sand. Your tongue tastes like rust. You lower yourself to the dirt just beyond the ring's edge and sit with your arms around your knees, catching your breath in shallow gasps. Someone tosses you a rag. You wipe your face, slowly, carefully. Your opponent steps out, nods at the assistant, and walks away without looking at you. Another wrestler is already stepping into the ring. The cycle continues. You listen to the thud of the next collision. You wince. You press your hand to your side and feel something swelling. It's not broken, not badly, just bruised deep. The kind of bruise that takes days to bloom and weeks to fade. You try to roll your shoulder. It moves, but not cleanly. You lie back in the dirt for a moment, staring up at the empty sky. Your breath comes slower now, though not comfortably. There's a spot on your ribs that still aches with every inhale. Your mawashi has shifted slightly from the throws. It pinches. You don't bother adjusting it. You close your eyes. Eventually you head back to the stable. You try to rest. Your ribs ache, your shoulder throbs, and there's a burning sensation in your hip that pulses with each breath. You've wrapped yourself in your robe and curled on your mat with the faint hope that someone will forget you exist for a few hours. The stable is quiet for now. Not silent, never silent, but quiet enough. Water drips from a gutter. Someone coughs in their sleep. Your eyes are closed, not asleep but somewhere near it. Then you feel the nudge, not a kick, not exactly, just the toe of someone's sandal pressing firmly into your ribs, the same spot that's already tender. You flinch, you look up. One of the senior wrestlers stands over you with a blank expression and a folded cloth in one hand. He doesn't speak. He just jerks his chin toward the courtyard. You nod, already rising. You know better than to ask what the errand is. The answer is, whatever he wants. The cloth is for wiping down the edge of the ring. You do it slowly, every movement deliberate, your body quietly protesting. The sun has risen fully now, throwing slanted shadows across the stable yard. The sand is warm again. You move around the perimeter, folding the cloth between each pass. No one thanks you. That's not the point. The point is that you are junior. The point is that you are not here to rest. Hierarchy in the stable is not merely spoken. It is felt, pressed into you from every direction. There are ranks, and then there are sub-ranks, and then there is everyone else. You fall into the final category. You do not have a title. You have a name only because the chart on the wall requires one. Your job is not to fight, or train, or even grow, not primarily. Your job is to serve. There are wrestlers who are only a year older than you, who have the right to send you on errands. There are others who have barely won more matches than you, but who now expect their towel to be folded, their rice to be hot, their robe to be shaken out and aired before they return from the bath. You know them by sight, by walk, by scent. You learn their preferences before they speak. You learn the speed at which they want their tea. You learn not to look them directly in the eye unless invited to do so. Once you forget to bow before handing over a cleaned bowl. You don't forget again. There is no formal instruction in these matters, no written rules, but they are enforced more strictly than any training posture. A missed bow is noticed, a slow response is remembered, and punishment, when it comes, is quiet. Exclusion from meals, extra chores, a cold shoulder that lingers for days. No one hits you. No one needs to. The weight of being seen as disrespectful is its own kind of violence. You carry buckets, you refill basins, you kneel in corners with towels over your arms. You are a servant in every way but name, and even that is generous. A servant might be thanked. You are more like furniture, useful, present, silent, replaceable. Your training has not stopped. You still fall, you still squat, you still slam your feet into the dirt in the mornings, like you're banishing demons. But these things are secondary now. The real test is whether you understand your place, whether you bow quickly enough, kneel deeply enough, vanish cleanly enough when your task is done. There is a pecking order for everything. Who eats first? Who sits closest to the hearth? Who gets the thickest cut of fish? Who gets meat at all? Who gets to speak during meals? Who is spoken to? You are spoken at more often than to. You eat last if there's food left. You take what you're given. You don't complain when your rice is cold or your soup is mostly water. You chew quietly. You do not slurp too loudly, even though the broth is thin enough to require it. Once, when the rice pot runs low, you are handed a half bowl. As you begin to eat, one of the seniors gestures for you to bring him water. You rise immediately. When you return, your bowl is gone. Taken, finished by someone else. You do not ask who. You do not look for it. You bow and resume kneeling. There are wrestlers in the stable who are revered, not just for their rank, but for the way they carry it. They glide rather than walk. They speak softly and others listen. They do not raise their voices. They do not need to. Their authority is so total, it hums in the air around them. When they enter a room, everyone adjusts their posture. When they clear their throat, conversations end. You are not allowed to speak in their presence unless addressed. You are rarely addressed. You watch them sometimes, from the corner of your eye, not with envy, with study. You try to understand the mechanics of dignity. You wonder how long it takes to be that still, that heavy with confidence. You suspect it is not merely time that builds it. It is compliance. It is survival without resistance. It is years of knowing your place and remaining in it without question. One afternoon, as lunch is being served, you kneel near the hearth with a towel folded neatly across your lap. Your stomach growls. You have not eaten today. A pot of rice simmers on the fire, the smell thick with garlic and miso. The bowls are laid out. The seniors are served first, as always. You bow to each one as you pass them their tray. When your turn would normally come, a higher-ranked wrestler, not one of the oldest, but higher than you, calls you over. You go immediately. He gestures toward the floor beside him. You kneel. He does not speak. He begins to eat. You remain where you are, kneeling behind him, back straight, hands resting lightly on your thighs. Then he leans forward slightly and makes a vague, circling gesture with his hand. You understand it. You begin to massage his back, slowly, evenly, pressing your thumbs along the line of muscle just beneath the shoulder blades. He keeps eating. He does not acknowledge you. The smell of rice and soy clings to the air. He chews audibly. Your own stomach tightens, but you keep your breathing slow. Your hands move automatically now. This is not the first time. You glance at the pot. It is nearly empty. Your portion, if it comes at all, will be what remains. He finishes his meal, sets the bowl down. He does not thank you. You bow once, withdraw your hands, and wait for his next command. It does not come, but you remain kneeling, because that is what is expected. One day training begins as it always does. Stomps, squats, sliding steps. You've done it all thousands of times by this point. More. You don't count anymore. The ring feels smaller each day, not because you're growing, though you are, but because repetition compresses the world. It wears down the space between gestures until everything blends. Step, Slap, slide, fall. Again, again. Your shoulder feels back to normal, and you're finally beginning to feel confident. It doesn't last long. It happens during Suriashi, sliding footwork around the ring's edge. Your focus lapses for just a moment. The sand underfoot is uneven, already scuffed from those who came before you. Your weight shifts slightly, too far forward. Your left foot catches, twists, and you feel something in your knee give. Not loudly, not dramatically. There is no snap, just a sickening slither of movement, the wrong kind. A grinding sensation that sends a bolt of heat up your thigh. You don't fall. That would draw attention. You grit your teeth and finish the step. Then another. The knee holds, but it's wrong now, loose, mistrustful. You keep moving. No one sees, or if they do, they say nothing. That is mercy of a kind. You adjust your gait as subtly as you can. Shorter steps, slight shifts in weight to the right leg. You finish the drill. You bow when dismissed. You limp only once you've turned away. Back in the corner of the stable, you press your hand to the joint. It's hot, already swelling. You roll your robe up and examine the knee. It's not misshapen, but it pulses with that unmistakable heat, the kind that promises worse tomorrow. You splash it with water. Cold at first, then warm. It doesn't help much. You wrap it with a strip of cloth. Not tightly, just enough to hold it together. You hope no one asks why. No one does. You serve tea that evening, walking slowly, carefully, balancing the tray on your good side. When you kneel to pour, the injured leg stretches stiff behind you. You wince once, a shallow intake of breath. You mask it with a cough. By morning, the swelling has hardened. The knee doesn't bend cleanly. You rise from your mat like an old man, back hunched, weight shifted awkwardly. The others notice, but they don't say anything. They've seen this before. Everyone has. Injury is not a reason to stop. There is no treatment. Not really. You're not important enough for the stable to send for a doctor. Even if they did, the doctor's remedy would be the same as always. Compression, heat, massage, endurance, perhaps a poultice of mustard or ginger to draw the pain upward. Perhaps a scolding, perhaps nothing. You are expected to carry it. You are expected to endure. The next time you step into the ring, the pain sharpens. You feel it not just in the knee, but in the way it throws off your balance. Your stance is looser. Your foot placement cautious. Your shoulder compensates. Your back tightens. It all shifts, and none of it works quite right. Your opponent, a younger wrestler with less weight but more speed, shoves you off center easily. You fall hard, you land with a shout. Someone snorts from the sidelines. You get up. The next match is no better. You try to anchor your weight in the hips, as you've been taught, but the knee wobbles at the worst moment. You're thrown again, not gracefully, not dramatically, just discarded, like laundry. You rise, bow, step back. The limp is more noticeable now. Still, you're given no reprieve. Chores continue. So do meals if you're fast enough. So does the quiet indignity of serving those above you, rubbing their shoulders while your own seize with tension, folding their robes while yours goes unrepaired. You're expected to move quickly, though you can't. You're expected to kneel deeply, though your knee flares in protest with every inch. You say nothing. You do not ask for rest. That would mark you. That would mean you're soft, replaceable. You already are, but to admit it would seal it. So you push through. You begin to carry your leg differently, not dragging exactly, but shielding. A practiced misalignment. The pain becomes more manageable in the mornings, worse in the evenings. The swelling waxes and wanes depending on the weather. The ache becomes part of the rhythm of your day, like bowing or eating or breathing. Some nights you wrap it so tightly it throbs just to keep the joint still while you sleep. Some mornings you unwrap it too fast and nearly collapse. You develop small tricks. placing your weight fully on your heel when lifting, shifting your hips to fake steadiness, bracing with your opposite elbow against the wall when no one is looking. You've seen others do the same. There's a man in your stable who has a crooked shoulder, another whose wrist never straightened after a fall, a third who never fights anymore but still shows up each day to clean the yard in silence. Their injuries are not spoken of. They are simply part of them now, like scars, like tattoos, like ranks they never earned but were branded with anyway. You understand now. The line between wrestler and servant is not marked only by rank, but by wear, by what you can carry and how silently you carry it. Your knee is not a problem. It is a test, one you're not meant to pass, only to endure until it becomes invisible, until it is so familiar that you no longer think of it as pain, just a feature of walking, a contour of your body. Your limp has settled into something manageable. It's not gone. It never will be. But it's learned how to live within you. You've learned how to move around it. Your robe falls just low enough to cover the worst of the swelling, and you've adjusted your gait so that it resembles formality more than compromise. The stable no longer notices it, which means they've accepted it, which means it has become part of you. Weeks pass. Then one morning the thin man makes an announcement. You're going out, not alone, never alone, but as part of a group from the stable, a formal outing. No matches today, no practice either, just presence. You are to walk through the city, to be seen, not for leisure, not for rest, for visibility. You nod, as if this makes sense. You're told to bathe, you're told to wear a clean robe, you're told to retie your shonmage carefully and oil it well. You are not told where you'll be going, only where you're not allowed, not through temples, not down certain side streets, not into tea houses, not near shrines, not anywhere sacred. You are a sumo wrestler, a symbol, a spectacle, a body too profane for spiritual purity. You do not question this. No one does. When the group gathers outside the stable, you are assigned your place, toward the rear, behind the more senior wrestlers, ahead of only the newest recruits. The formation is deliberate. Hierarchy must be visible even in public, especially in public. You walk two abreast, slow and wide. Not quite a parade, but not casual either. You are being presented. The streets of Edo are already bustling. Merchants shout from doorways. Children dart between carts. The smell of grilled eel and wood smoke drifts between rows of wooden buildings. A woman steps aside to let your group pass and bows slightly without looking directly at you. A group of men standing near a sock shop mutter something under their breath and chuckle. No one speaks to you directly. No one looks you in the eye, but they see you. The procession moves through the outer districts. You pass a river, low and brown, with washing lines stretched between balconies above it. A dog barks from a rooftop. Somewhere, a drum beats in preparation for a festival, though you're not part of it. You hear the rhythm and feel your shoulders tense instinctively, expecting the ring. But the sound is distant, decorative, meaningless. Children point at you as you pass. Not at you exactly, at your body, at your size, at the way your legs stretch the fabric of your robe, at your top knot, at your sandals. You hear one of them shout something about an ox, another mimics your stomp. Their parents hush them, bow awkwardly, and turn away. You walk on. The sun is hot on your back. Your robe begins to stick. Your scalp itches from the hair oil. One of the seniors shifts his shoulders uncomfortably and mutters about the heat. No one responds. Conversation isn't forbidden, but it's discouraged. This is not a pleasure walk. This is image maintenance. A few passers-by bow respectfully. One man even claps and says the name of a higher-ranked wrestler near the front of the line. That man nods slightly, acknowledging the recognition without reacting to it. You keep your eyes down. At one point, the group pauses near a small plaza where vendors are selling bowls of shaved ice and pickled cucumbers. You're not allowed to buy anything. You stand in place while the senior wrestlers accept refreshments handed to them by an attendant. You kneel beside them on the cobbled ground, your robe bunched around your legs, and wait. You are not offered anything. No one is. The break is brief. You continue on. You pass a temple. Not through it, not even beside it. Your group takes a sharp turn down a side street to avoid the boundary stone. You don't look too closely. You don't want to. You've long known that the body you're building, the bulk, the sweat, the spectacle, is seen as impure by the standards of the spiritual world. Too animal, too physical, too loud. You carry weight like a priest carries ritual, but your kind of holiness isn't allowed near shrines. The others don't speak of it. But you can feel the collective discomfort in the way the group tightens as it rounds the corner, in the way no one meets anyone else's eye. You walk past a row of shops. A silk merchant pauses mid-sale to glance up. His customer follows his gaze, looks you over with the faintest wrinkle of the nose, then returns to examining fabric. You wonder if either of them remembers your face. You wonder if you even have one anymore, under all this mass. Your knee twinges, then fades. You keep walking. By late afternoon, your feet are sore, your lower back is tight, and your robe is heavy with sweat. The route loops back toward the stable. You recognize the alleys now, the cracked shutters, the bucket of wilted cabbage on the stoop, the rooster tied to the post that never seems to move. A few children trail behind your group at a distance. One of them mimics your stomp again when he thinks no one's looking. Another picks up a fistful of dirt and throws it in the air like salt. You do not react. As you pass through the outer gate, someone from inside the stable announces your return. The doors slide open. You bow slightly, step through, and the sound of the street fades behind you. You are back where you belong. No one says anything as you begin to unfasten your robe, as you loosen your belt, as you wipe your face with the corner of your sleeve. The seniors head toward the bathhouse. You are not summoned yet. You return to your mat to fold your robe and stretch your back, your joints clicking softly in the quiet. You lie down for a moment, not to sleep, just to shift your weight off your legs. You replay the walk in your head. You remember how many people stared, but none of them looked at you. One day, you're told to prepare the dressing room, not for a stablemate, not for one of your seniors, not even for your stable master, for a yokozuna. It's the first time you've heard the word spoken inside the stable with anything approaching reverence. Usually, ranks are treated like functions, tools to arrange bodies, but this time the tone is different. Even the thin man bows slightly when he says it, as if the name itself has weight. You nod and begin to scrub. The room is small but spotless by the time you're done. You sweep the floor 3 times. You polish the wood until it reflects your forehead. You fold the robe that will be handed to him after the match with slow, trembling care. You aren't even told his name. You don't need to know it. He is a yokozuna. That's enough. You're not permitted to watch the beginning of the tournament. You're sent to carry water and towels and keep your eyes down while the arena fills. The noise builds in waves, cheering, drums, the dull thud of feet against packed earth. You sneak a glance once from behind a curtain and see the arena fully lit for the first time in your life. Tiered seats overflowing, banners fluttering, vendors calling. The crowd smells like sake, sweat, and excitement. No one is looking at the floor. Then the moment comes. The crowd falls quiet. The drum beat shifts. The rhythm changes. He enters. The yokozuna, the grand champion. He moves like a procession all by himself. Not just heavy, but deliberate, each step placed with the weight of a man who knows the world is watching and has always watched. He wears a thick white suna rope around his waist, woven and knotted like a divine relic. It weighs over 30 pounds, and yet he moves as though it's part of him. His robe is embroidered silk. His hair is styled perfectly. He doesn't walk alone. Attendants follow behind him, flanking him like ceremonial guards. They are not his equals. No one is. The crowd erupts as he approaches the ring. You are not permitted near the ring at that moment. You're standing near the corridor with the towels, gripping one tightly in your hand, trying to breathe quietly. You watch him raise one leg into the air, higher than seems possible for a man his size, and then slam it down in the shiko that every wrestler practices, but none of you will ever perform like that. The sound it makes is not a stomp. It is a command, the kind that silences the gods. The ceremony feels slower when he performs it. Every gesture drawn out, every movement deliberate, not because he is tired, because he is above time, above fatigue, above you. The match itself is short. The challenger rushes, the yokozuna absorbs. There is a sudden shift of weight, a pivot, and then the challenger is on the ground, dazed, stunned, cheered. The crowd roars, salt is thrown, the banners wave, and the yokozuna exits the ring untouched. You are told to go ahead and begin preparing the changing area. You move quickly, but quietly, retracing your steps. The robe is folded, the seat is fluffed, the floor is cleared. You kneel beside the basin of warm water, a towel draped over your arm. The air in the room is thick with the smell of incense from the ring, dust from the arena, and your own nervous sweat. He enters without ceremony. That's how you know his presence is real. It doesn't need to be announced. The men around him bow. You bow deeper. You keep your eyes down. You do not speak. His sandals are removed by someone else. His robe is lifted by another. You remain kneeling, holding the towel, waiting for the nod that never comes. He doesn't look at you. He shouldn't. You are background. He sits. His legs creak slightly. Even gods have joints. But the sound is softened by the sheer weight of reverence in the room. He is not old, but you can see the fatigue in the way he lowers himself. You wonder how many more years he has in him. You wonder how long he trained, how much pain he buried to become this. He reaches for the towel. You offer it with both hands, eyes low. He takes it without looking. He wipes his face, his neck, then drops it onto the floor. You retrieve it immediately. Others begin to speak to him, softly, deferentially. One offers congratulations. Another compliments his tachiai, the initial charge. He nods, says little. He does not need to say much. Every word from him is a gift, and every silence is accepted with thanks. You begin to clean his foot basin while he finishes changing. Your movements are quiet, practiced. You try to make no sound. You try to shrink yourself into the rhythm of the space. There is no applause in this room, only order, only duty. When he rises, the floorboards creak beneath his weight. You step back instinctively. He walks past you, not quickly, not slowly, just steadily. You bow as he passes, the deepest bow you've given in months. You do not meet his eyes. That would be wrong. That would imply you see him as a man rather than a symbol. He exits. The room exhales once he's gone. You begin cleaning the basin. The towel is still damp in your hand. The robe he wore is folded neatly again, placed into a wooden chest for laundering. You wipe the bench. You sweep the floor once more. Though it is already spotless, you press the folded mat to evenness, smoothing out the imprint of where he sat. You do not ask what it felt like to win. You do not ask how many years it took. You do not ask if he ever dreamed of anything else, because it doesn't matter. Because that ceiling, that rope, that silk, that silence is not for you. You will never be a yokozuna. Years pass by. You've been a sumo wrestler nearly 18 years now and never successfully claimed the ranks. Your joints swell before the weather changes. First the knees, old damage resurfacing, then your elbows, stiff in the mornings, unwilling to extend fully by nightfall. You sleep with your arms folded over your belly because it's easier than flattening them against the mat. You rise slowly now, not out of caution, but because you no longer trust your limbs to move as expected. You're heavier than you've ever been. Your appetite hasn't changed, but the weight settles differently now. It's not the weight they wanted when you first arrived, dense, useful, competitive, but something slower, something softer. Your strength has not disappeared, but it's buried deeper under mass. It takes longer to find. Your back tightens every time you haul yourself upright. Your hips click when you squat. Your left foot always seems half a second behind the right. You've stopped noticing the limp. You're told to eat more. You do. You chew slower. You lie down afterward as instructed. You drink broth that leaves your lips greasy. You burp quietly into your sleeve. You stretch your belt to the final loop and tell no one. You outgrow your robe and borrow one from the pile, pretending it was assigned to you. No one comments. No one needs to. Breathing grows harder, not loud, not wheezing, just deeper than it should be, just enough that you notice your chest rising twice for every sentence spoken. You feel it most at night, lying flat, the full weight of your torso pressing against your own lungs. You learn to sleep half sitting, one elbow propped on a folded mat. It doesn't help much. During training, you still go through the motions. You squat, you stomp, you fall. But something's off now. You don't spring back up as quickly. You lean on your good leg more. You take longer to circle back into position. No one says anything, but they've started pairing you with newer recruits. Boys a head shorter and 50 pounds lighter. Boys with wide eyes and uncertain stances. You're not being trusted with equals anymore. You're being used to teach, to test, to absorb. Your balance falters more often than you admit. Once, during Shiko, you raise your leg too high and feel something pull in your lower back. You drop it quickly, pretending it was intentional. The pain lingers for days. It shifts from a stab to a grind, to a dull ache that pulses when you bow. You no longer mention these things. You're not even sure you notice them in isolation. They blur together. You are offered no medical care, no rest days, no questions. The silence is the answer. No one tells you that you're slowing down. They don't have to. You feel it in the ring. Every impact hits deeper. Every shove rattles your ribs more than it used to. Your hands find your opponent's belt slower. Your grip slips faster. You can no longer control the edge of the ring. It controls you. One day, you wake to find your fingers curled and stiff, as if clenched all night into invisible fists. You pry them open, one by one, using your teeth. The knuckles are swollen, red, unbending. You wrap them in cloth, you bow with your wrists instead of your hands. You're still given chores, still expected to kneel beside seniors and rub their shoulders while they eat, still tasked with sweeping the ring and folding the towels and carrying the buckets of water. But now it's harder to hide the wince. Your shoulders betray you. Your legs shake if you crouch too long. You stop carrying anything with both hands. You begin using your belly as a shelf. During bathing, you notice how the others look at you. Not unkindly, but differently. You're no longer one of the hopefuls. You're no longer someone to be watched with curiosity or envy. You're becoming familiar. Background. Permanent in a way that no longer implies potential. You are here. You have been here. You will still be here, unless you're not. The younger wrestlers have started growing into their own weight. You watch them eat with purpose, eyes bright, muscles forming beneath the surface of their bulk. They speak softly, but with more certainty than they used to. They move with the kind of energy you remember having. Not long ago, but not recently either. One of them, a boy from a rice farming village, big hands, quiet voice, is paired with you in practice. He bows too deeply. You nod, aching. You circle each other. You touch belts. The whistle sounds. He charges. You brace as always, but something goes wrong. He's lower than you expected, faster too. You reach for his belt, but his footwork slips beneath your reach. He shifts. You feel your balance tip, and then you're falling. Not gracefully, not theatrically, just falling. Your back hits the sand. You grunt. The breath leaves your body with a sound you can't quite suppress. You lie still for a moment, longer than usual. Not from shock, from embarrassment. You hear someone on the sidelines grunt an acknowledgement, not praise, just notice. You rise slowly, dust clinging to your side. He bows again sheepishly. You nod. The session ends. You sit in the corner with a wet cloth pressed to your knee. It does nothing. You watch the younger wrestler go another round, this time with someone closer to his size. He holds his own. He isn't graceful yet, but he's rising. You remember the feeling, the brief heady sense of weight becoming power, of movement becoming dominance, of the ring seeming small enough to control. You no longer feel it. Now the ring feels too large. The edges come too quickly. The sand feels softer beneath you, but only when you're falling. You're not injured. Not really, unless you count the knee injury that never healed fully from years ago. You're not sick. You haven't been demoted. You haven't been told anything. But something is changing. Something has already changed. Your body was once your ticket to worth. A thing to build. A thing to sculpt. A thing to be praised for. Now it is a burden. And it's beginning to show. You are pinned easily by someone younger than you. You do not protest. You do not excuse it. You bow. You step aside. You sit with your legs folded, watching. And the world moves on without you. The stable master doesn't look at you when he says it. He's seated behind a low table, legs folded neatly beneath him, hands tucked into his sleeves, as if this were a formal audience and not a moment of quiet dismissal. You kneel before him on aching knees, sweat from morning training still cooling along your spine. He does not ask how your joints feel or how your last match went. He simply says, "You are not improving." That's all. Not declining, not failing, not injured, just not improving. You bow. You say nothing. There's nothing to say. You've known for weeks that it was coming. Your matches have become more symbolic than competitive. You've been left off the travelling list. Your chores have grown more domestic. No one has called you to demonstrate form in front of recruits. You haven't been asked to spar with anyone heavier than a teenager in days. At first, you think he means to dismiss you entirely, send you back to your family if they take you. But the next sentence clarifies. You're being shifted, not expelled, not disgraced, just moved to the side. He says they could use someone to help coordinate meal deliveries during tournaments, someone calm, reliable. You'll be able to attend all the matches, he adds, as if that's a comfort. The next morning, you're not called for training. No one says anything aloud, but you feel it. The way people step around you now instead of barking for help. The way juniors hesitate before bowing, unsure whether you still belong in the same category. You are neither active nor retired in the celebratory sense. You are simply done. Your belt is folded and placed in a chest. You are not permitted to keep it. You do not ask. A robe is issued instead. Plain, serviceable, blue-grey with stiff seams, no embroidery, no status. You are allowed to grow your hair out, not in the top knot style, but loosely tied at the neck, a mark of seniority without rank. You begin reporting to the kitchen tent during tournaments. You help count bowls, arrange trays, pour tea into ceramic cups and carry them, hands steady, toward clusters of seated officials. You move quietly behind groups of wrestlers, preparing for their matches. You know their nerves, their rituals, their timing. You place tea where it will not spill, wipe sweat from benches between bouts, retrieve towels before anyone has to ask. You are useful. That is your role now. Sometimes an official recognizes you. nods, says something like, "Still around, are you?" in a tone that's neither unkind nor interested. You bow and pour more tea. The younger wrestlers don't ask who you were. They only see what you are, a man in the background with thick fingers and a slow gait who knows where the clean robes are stored and when the rice should be stirred. Your name is never spoken during matches. Once, while folding towels near the edge of the tent, you hear your own fighting name mentioned in passing. A nickname, not your birth name. The one you earned when you first joined the stable. The one announced during tournaments years ago. It's said with amusement, as part of a story one wrestler is telling another. You're not the subject, just a reference, a comparison. You do not interrupt. You keep folding. The days are slower now. The pressure is gone, but so is the structure. No drills, no squats, no daily testing of your limits. Just routines. You are awake early out of habit, though no one expects you to be. You bathe last, you eat quietly. Your body still aches, but differently now, not from strain, but from inertia. No one tells you to stop eating like a wrestler, but your appetite shifts on its own. You feel full faster, you chew longer, you eat less meat, more rice. Your weight drops slightly, enough that your robe fits better. Your joints complain less. Your back still hums with old pain, but it's manageable. Occasionally, a recruiter visits the stable. They ask for boys who show promise. No one looks at you. You are not asked to help evaluate. You sit nearby, sorting fabric or counting bowls, and listen to the same lines you once heard about: honour, glory, discipline, and the sacred weight of tradition. At night, you sleep in a different room now, not with the juniors, not with the active wrestlers. A smaller space, quieter, shared with two others in similar positions. One used to be a mid-ranked wrestler with a dislocated shoulder that never healed properly. The other tried to make it as a coach, but lacked the presence. You do not speak often, but there is a shared rhythm to your silences. You know how to move without disturbing each other. You all snore in different keys. You no longer dream of matches. You dream of walking barefoot, of being outside the ring, of watching rain slide off roof tiles while holding nothing heavier than a cup. During one tournament, you are assigned to assist in the dressing area. It's a temporary need, a last-minute substitution. You are to help prepare tea for the referees and fold ceremonial robes after use. You enter the preparation tent with lowered eyes. You recognize the man seated near the mirror. He's younger than you by a decade, but ranked far higher. A newly promoted sekiwake. His hair is styled flawlessly, his robe embroidered with cranes. He is flanked by two attendants. He does not notice you. You bow, place the tea beside him, and retreat. As he rises, he adjusts his belt with practiced ease. You remember what it felt like to stand that way, heavy with purpose, balanced at the edge of applause. You remember the silence before a match, the weight of eyes on your bare back, the sacredness of the ring's boundary. Now you watch from behind a curtain. You watch others perform the rituals you once mimicked, now refined to precision. You watch the crowds cheer, the drums beat, the wrestlers stomp. And when the break comes, you carry tea. Another match begins. You hear the thud of feet stomping in rhythm, the soft murmur of ritual words, the brief cheer of a restless crowd awaiting contact. You don't watch from the edge anymore. You stand farther back now, behind a paper screen, pouring hot water into ceramic bowls for the officials seated just beyond. When you glance sideways, you can make out the edge of the dohyo, but not its centre. And that's enough. You know what it looks like. The white ring drawn on packed clay, the salt tossed in arcs of fake purification, the mutual bows that precede a controlled violence, neither sacred nor accidental. You can feel the match even without seeing it, the way silence thickens before the charge, and the crowd leans in as if gravity has shifted slightly. Then there's the impact, the grunt, the sand skidding underfoot, and the sudden finality of one man leaving the ring while the other remains inside. You wipe your hands on a cloth and return to your task. The wrestlers will not drink from your cups. Theirs are brought by juniors, fresh from practice and eager to be seen. You serve the men who keep the records, balance the purses, decide the match orders. They rarely speak to you. You are steady, quiet, background. Someone they trust to refill a cup, fold a robe, disappear when not needed. Later, you pass by the training ring. A new boy is kneeling where you once knelt, his back straight, hair not yet long enough to oil. His knees are pink and raw. He's trying to watch without staring, trying to hold his breath while the seniors move around him like shadows. He flinches when someone barks a correction. You recognize the posture immediately, that mix of reverence, fear, and aching ambition. You keep walking. You are not listed in the official books. Your name, your real one, the one given by your parents, never appeared. Your ring name was recorded for a few matches, then quietly removed. You do not appear in rosters, rankings, or ceremonial lineups. No poet composed a verse for your retirement. No fan painted your likeness. No scroll bears your face. Even the junior you once mentored, the one who briefly looked up to you before surpassing your rank, forgets to bow now when you cross paths. It's not personal. It's not cruel. It's simply the way of things. Sumo remembers only the peaks, only the champions, the legends, the scandals. The rest, the bodies that cushioned throws, that cleaned rings, that poured sweat into training halls, are not remembered. They are absorbed, broken down and folded into the system like rice into stew, indistinguishable and necessary, but unnamed. Some nights when the stable is quiet and the matches are over, you sit outside near the steps of the bathhouse. The steam is gone by then, the water drained. You sit with a towel draped around your neck and your knees drawn up slowly, because your joints no longer bend without commentary. You listen to the city humming just beyond the walls, carts creaking on stone, merchants calling final prices, someone singing badly from a second-story window. You know Edo, but not as a citizen. You've walked its streets as part of a group, in uniform, watched, evaluated, displayed. You've never walked alone in it, just to be alone. Even now, you would not know what to do with that freedom. Occasionally a travelling entertainer passes by. Once a group of children pointed and laughed, shouting, "Look, a wrestler," before being shushed by their nursemaid. They didn't mean you. They meant your robe, your shape, your association. They don't know your name. They never did. You used to wonder what it would feel like to leave, to slip away from the stable and vanish into the city, grow out your hair, take up a new name, become a porter or a butcher or a cook. But your body does not permit such fantasies anymore. Your knees crack when you stand. Your back hums with memory. Your hands are thick and stiff. You have been shaped too long to fit another mould. In the morning, a recruiter arrives. He's young, bright robes, a scroll of names in his hand. He greets the stable master with practiced grace. He's here for new talent. He's heard there's a boy with potential, maybe two. The future of sumo, he says, bowing low. You bow too, but no one returns it. You carry a tray to the juniors' quarters. They're still eating. One of them wipes his mouth when you enter and moves aside so you can reach the shelf. You refill the tea kettle. You bow again. You leave. You know the schedule now better than your own breath. You know which towel belongs to which official, which robe is stiff from overuse, which wrestler favours which bowl. Your usefulness is precision, quiet service, predictable movements. You are the muscle memory of the place. In the afternoon, during a match, you hear a body slap the clay. The thud of it, the heavy twist as someone is thrown. You pause for a moment with a bowl in your hand, then continue pouring. The audience cheers. The referee calls a winner. Salt is thrown, the ring is swept, no one calls your name, no one mentions your time in the ring. Your name is erased, your body is replaced. And Sumo continues exactly as it always has. And that brings us to the end of tonight's story. One of a man built into a symbol, used, discarded, and slowly erased by the very tradition he served. Feel free to like, subscribe, or leave a comment with another forgotten corner of history you'd like explored next. If you'd like early access to more of these quiet descents into forgotten history, ad-free audio of the episodes, or just want to support the show, there's a link to the Patreon in the description. If you're listening on a podcast app, a rating or review helps more people find their way to these stories. And special thanks to the supporters who make this show possible, including our chroniclers, Andrew S. and Rich Davis. Sleep well.